Hello everyone. Hello, hello. It's me. All right, let's do that. So just wait a second. My sound is in double. Okay, that's good. Okay, just wait a second. So, just to give you some context, so this track, it's like a mixing exercise. So basically, yeah, it's like a very short 10-second track, and people will have all the stems, and they will be able to mix it in my course. So, and because of that, I need to make a mix of it, and I shouldn't have drank Coca-Cola before this. And yeah, they will have all the grouped stems, the individual stems, to kind of have a reference and maybe try to mix it themselves. So I already started mixing it yesterday, but I just did like half of it. So I'm just gonna kind of do a small mix deconstruction of what I already did, and then I will finish it up with. I will finish it up with the percussion and the stuff I haven't done yet. Yeah. All right, so let's listen to it. Yeah, so it's kind of mixed, but lots of problems still. But it's very simple, very straightforward. Not too many stems, just like 30. So it's supposed to be a pretty simple track so that people won't spend 10 hours doing this exercise. Yeah. So right now we can't even hear the hits, so maybe let's fix that. Okay, anyway, we're gonna take care of that later, but for now, let's see what I already did. So the strings are pretty straightforward. Yeah, the stream will be saved. Hold on, I just need to sidechain my voice, all the tracks to my voice. That way I can mute stuff and my voice won't be muted. Like that. So, the strings, it's very simple. So I did a basic EQ. So that's the strings bus. I just have 2 EQs. Just some treble boost, basically. And I have a tape. And tape is not doing much, but it's kind of coloring a bit. Okay. And in the individual tracks, I haven't done a lot yet, so I need to maybe fix that. I think the strings could be a bit more kind of aggressive. But anyway, that's like the rough mixing I did on the strings so far. Just some, I think there is some slight EQs on the individual tracks. Yeah. And the violins, yeah. Kind of cutting the harshness. Same for the second violins. And also some controlling of the lower resonances. See, it's a bit like woo without the cramby. So it's a bit cleaner with it. Yeah, it will be available on this channel. The cello. No EQ yet, just cramby. The bass. No EQ yet also. I will probably EQ it later. No, I haven't considered making Star Wars music. Hello everyone, by the way. 32 people, that's crazy. It's amazing to see 32 people here. So, and the staccatos also, I haven't EQ'd yet, it seems. So of course they're being affected by the EQ in the strings bus, but that's it. And they're a little bit muddy. I'm probably gonna cut that. Okay. Yeah. The first resonance is a bit too much. There. Yeah, it's pretty nice. By the way, thank you to Matt Sunny, the guy who made this track. Thank you for making this exercise for me. So this one is kind of inconsistent. Sometimes it's resonating, sometimes not. I'm just gonna tame the notes which are the ones which are resonating. Multiband. Okay. I think I probably need louder ostinatos. Especially since, yeah, they need to cut through the brass. I can't speak. They need to cut through the brass as well, so if the strings are a little bit more ostinato based, it's good, even if the balance is not technically realistic. Yeah, that should be pretty good. So let's see the brass. Same thing, I did some rough mixing already on the brass. Yeah, that's a bit loud. So on the bus, so far I have just a slight cut here, and that cut is kind of to counter the effects of that boost, because this plugin is great, but it's kind of sometimes it kind of boosts the 2K a bit more. I mean, it boosts all the treble, but it's kind of like a long boost, you know, so it also boosts a bit of the frequencies here. And I already have a lot in the brass, so no need for too much. So because of that, I decided to use a Pro Q2 to kind of counter the effects of that EQ. I mean, it's Strala music, you know, you need a lot of brass. And I have my this is just a reverb technique. So basically you have a room reverb on the brass bus, and it's like no tail at all. It's just early reflections. And if you put that first, it will make the brass sound much bigger. It's kind of subtle, but it's nice. Like it adds another kind of stereo dimension to the brass. So I like that for Trala music because, yeah, it just makes the brass kind of pop more than the strings. So the strings are kind of more accurate, and the brass is kind of like a huge sound because of that. So it kind of creates a sonic difference between the strings and the brass, and yeah, I think it's nice. So if I just put the two together. Yeah, the strings are a bit buried right now. But yeah, it sounds pretty nice already, pretty decent. So that's my brass bus. And by the way, the strings are being sent to this reverb here. Strings reverb, and on the strings reverb I have two reverbs in parallel. I have VSS3 and a Verbsuit Classics. So this is a Bricasti, Mechanics Hall 2 seconds. And this is the long warm hall, but modified, so it's 2.5 seconds. And yeah, slight modifications to it, I think. But the biggest modification, I think there isn't any actually. Maybe I changed the high cuts a bit, but mostly it's the long warm hall, 2.5 seconds. And so getting the two together is pretty nice because you get the nice tail from the Bricasti and you get the nice early reflections. So kind of 50-50. And doing that kind of gives you a more transparent reverb than just the Bricasti. And yeah, but you also get the nice tail. So I really like doing that. So this is the dry signal, and this is sending to the Bricasti, and this is sending to the VSS. Actually, the Bricasti is slightly less mixed. Yeah, the Bricasti is like 70% wet, and the VSS is like 100%. So I just didn't really like the tail of the VSS by itself. So I kind of felt like I needed to have the Bricasti as well to give a bit more of a better quality of tail, basically. Pretty nice, right? It's the same story for this, the brass reverb, except it's a bit longer. So 2.75 here and 2.2 here. Anyway, that's for my reverbs for the strings and the brass. And let's see into the individual brass tracks, because I did some stuff here already. Even though it's not finished, I already did some stuff. So this is brass chords, horn chords. Yeah, it's French horn chords. So just kind of controlling the low mids here. And cutting even more. And this is the main horn theme, so the main melody. You can see like the wobbliness of the main melody, so multiband makes the fundamental harmonics of the horn very stable, so very thick. That's how you get this massive wall of sound, among other things. Just a filter for the noise. Yep. And oh yeah, so this is low brass, the Horde. Everybody knows the Horde. If you don't know the Horde, then you're not a trailer composer. Just kidding. Okay, maybe you don't have trailer brass, but so the Horde. First thing, a slight cut here because this harmonic here was too loud compared to the other ones. And also a cut because I don't want the lowest harmonic. I don't want like the 40 Hz, 30. Like, actually, I want everything from 40 to up. But as you can see, this one is like sitting around 40. It's really, really loud already. So I care more about this range here, like the 50 to 100, because here it's going to be the drums, it's going to be everything else. So for a bass line, you really don't need that. I mean, that's really, really subby. Like the bass line elements, you should care more about 50. Yeah, I mean, sometimes 40, it really depends on the track, but if you're going to have drums at the same time, anything from 50 to 100 is where it's at. And yeah, so just a low mid cut because by default, low brass usually has lots of mud here. Yeah, I might have too much low end. This is just like a rough mix so far. Yeah, just kind of making room for the brass, making room from the for the horn fundamentals by cutting the low brass here, because there isn't any kind of strong fundamental here. The low brass is really strong here in the bass, but here it starts to become a bit more like mush, cardboard sounds. So by cutting there, I'm making room for the fundamentals of the French horns, trombones and stuff. Also a bit muddy, not a bit like cheap sounding here, at like 1K, 2K. And yeah, my brass bus EQ is already kind of EQing this by default, so already sharp enough. It's a low brass. But yeah, the next part is going to be interesting. I'm hammering it with multiband. The ratio is actually 8. No, 10. The ratio is 10. So if you don't want to have a sub bass track, by the way, there was a sub bass track originally for this composition, but I removed it because we already have the Horde. But the point is, if you want a strong sub bass, make sure it's not wobbly, make sure it's really static. Doesn't matter if you want it very loud or very quiet, but make sure that at least it's going to be kind of static. You don't want the bass to come in and out. And maybe I can have a bit less. But the point is, it's compressing all the time, making sure it's very consistent. If I remove it, it's especially bad on the first note. Yeah, there's just a lot of dynamic variation. And then you would start losing kind of the low end a bit. So just to maximize the thickness, you need this. Okay, so why? Because I think it's better to just have one kind of strong sub. Because if you have two subs on the same pitch, but they're slightly different phase, they're actually gonna phase with each other. So in the end, you will actually make them more dynamic because of the phasing. But if you have one strong sub that's already compressed and static, and you don't really have another one at the same exact spot to phase, at least you will kind of make sure that this sub base element will be static. Because you could have, try this, put two oscillators, two sine wave oscillators on the same note, but slightly different timing. Maybe they are by themselves, they might be very static and very solid, but as soon as you put two oscillators together slightly in phase, I mean like out of phase, instantly they will become wobbly. You could cut this from the Horde and replace with a sine wave also. Definitely. Yeah, you could, but then if you add a sub, you need to cut it from the Horde. Yeah. So trombones. What is this? No, that's the staccato trombones. Yeah. The result would be similar. If you had kind of a weak low brass patch which didn't really have any kind of strong bass like the Horde, you might just want to cut it and put a sub bass. Since the Horde is already very strong, and actually the way they created it, I'm guessing they probably already put a sine wave to create the Horde. So yeah, in that case, no need to add another one. You can just work with it. So the sustained trombones. And then trumpet lead. So trumpets usually have a very strong 1 and 2K, and the 1 and 2K can overwhelm the higher harmonics. So one way to fix that would be EQ, or just this. This is kind of an EQ, but also a stereo, also an exciter. So as well as cutting the 1K and 2K, it's also creating more harmonics. It almost sounds like you're putting a mute on a trumpet as you push it. So yeah, I like this because it kind of EQing the trumpets at the same time. And adding more higher harmonics. So then, what is this? Oh yeah, staccato trumpets. Actually, I didn't EQ them yet. So that's pretty good. Let's EQ them. Well, yeah, I mean, these trumpets didn't really need EQ. The legato ones, so I'm probably gonna check with an EQ later if I can do something, but for now, but these definitely need EQ. I don't like this. Yeah, it's kind of annoying. It's okay if they're a bit thin anyway, because we don't need them for this range. They're gonna be in the full orchestra. Yeah, I know. I just have a few plugins here and there. So that's for that. So yeah, I mean, what I could do is go back to the brass and the strings later, and right now I could do the percussion because the percussion does really need some love right now. But actually, before that, I do have a few synths. There is a couple of things which I haven't showed you yet, so I will now. And so these synths are pretty cool because we can use them to make a super wide kind of sound. So they're not going to be very audible, but they are going to be used to kind of drive the rhythm a bit more and also create some width. So they kind of have two purposes. Like there's still a background thing, but we're gonna use them to kind of enhance the orchestra. But yeah, let's make sure that they don't take the spotlight. But I'm not really happy with the way they sound right now because they sound very close, very dry. So first, let me make a bus for these actually. Pulses. I mean, I like what they're doing, but you know what I want to do? I want to keep the independence between the left and the right channels, because if I just put a reverb on it, it would be nice, but it would kind of put it in the same room and kind of bring the sound more towards the middle. But if I keep the independence with the left and the right, it's going to be more interesting. So to do that, I can't put one reverb on the bus. I need to put two different reverbs. Yeah, so let's put one reverb left on the left sound and one reverb on the right sound, but different ones. Let's see, kind of ambient short reverbs just to put it in a space. And let's see what it does. It might not work if I do the... Yeah, I would need to do the panning. Yeah, I need to do the panning pre-fader before the reverb, or like pre-plugin. So I'm gonna put a patcher and I will do I will use a plugin to do the panning before. Actually, I'm gonna load a preset. Which I will tweak. Okay, so I just want reverb on the left. So this first plugin here is panning the sound to the left completely. But that's a bit too wet. And I don't want a hole, so let's switch that to the ambience again. Because I'm gonna put a different reverb on the right. So basically the one sound is gonna have its own reverb and be on the left, and the other sound is gonna have its own reverb and be on the right. So doing this will give more room and a better kind of... It will help the synth blend more in the orchestral sounds, but I'm not gonna put both synths in the same room, because if I put both synths in the same room, it's kind of gonna break the difference and separation between the left and the right. And since I'm gonna use this synth as a support for the orchestra, I wanna make sure that I keep this difference between the left and the right. to really enhance the width of the track. Okay. That's more like it. So 50% weight is good. Nice. And now I can do the same thing, but slightly different here. On the right. And a slightly different ambience, because if I use the same reverb with the same early reflections, it's not gonna work. To maximize the left-right difference, I want to make sure I use a slightly different reverb. So maybe the med ambience compared to the long ambience, but similar decay times. Yeah. It sounds a bit too small. Hold on, let me see. Maybe I can put the... Maybe I can put a medium ambience on the other one. Or a small ambience. I mean, that's what I meant. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. So, see, now it sounds like it's a bit reverbed, so it's not as dry as before. Hold on, I just need to make the frequencies a bit different. Okay, see, it sounds like it's in a room, which is good for trolley music, because it means the synth will blend more. But it's still super wide, because we're not putting this thing in the same room. So let's balance it with the track. Yeah, it shouldn't be too much audible. It's like the kind of thing that, you know, when you remove it, you notice it, that it's not here anymore, but it's not too much. It's not too audible. Let's see. Yeah, it's too muddy. Hold on, I need to EQ them a bit better. I already have all the horns and stuff in that range. And there's one resonance that's been created maybe by the combination of both. So I'm gonna go to the bus and make sure I EQ it out. It's the second note. See? Even if you look at the level of this resonance. Ooh. See that? Every time it's going to the second note, it's like 3 dB louder. So we fix that. Here we go. Okay, so now it's probably not gonna be too bad now when it comes to the way it's gonna blend with orchestra, because nothing is gonna be too resonant, nothing is gonna pop out in a bad way. Actually, I probably want to reduce this a bit more overall. Yeah, it's pretty good. Maybe it's still a bit loud. It should be really light. I'm thinking maybe I can make it a bit squashed. If I make it a bit squashed, it's gonna be more consistent. Especially in the treble. Let's see. Yeah, see, there is kind of treble spikes going on, and it's fine, but let's see if I can make it a bit more. Actually, it's mostly on the right side. So I'm gonna use very short attack. 0.1. Enough short release. Make sure it's like almost limiting this. So ratio maybe 15. Yeah, like this. Better. Hey Julian. Nice to see you here. Yeah, that's a nice sound. I don't have Pro Q3 yet, but it looks good. But I don't know if I will get it because I already have tons of dynamic EQs, and I would probably mostly just buy it for the dynamic EQs, so I don't know. Okay, so that's pretty good. So let's move on to... Yeah, thank you. I know my haircut is nice, yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the hits, because that's what everybody cares about, I'm sure. By the way, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, like I will. I'm looking at the chat all the time, so I see all the messages. So I have a driving rhythm here, which I already kind of EQ'd a bit. Got some of the lowest mud. And I like it, but maybe there is one thing which I don't like. Hold on, yeah, of course I put a bit of a compressor. It's like kind of a transient enhancer / compressor to just kind of give a bit more punch to these hits. I mean, this percussion. So if I just turn it off, oops. If I turn it off, it's gonna be a little bit less punchy. It's a parallel compressor. So just like 35% or something, just to make the drums a bit more noticed in the mix. By adding this punch, we're kind of making sure that the driving percussion will be still punchy, even if it's not very loud in the mix, basically. Because if it's just like at a constant volume all the time and it's flat, then you're gonna have to turn it up quite a lot to actually be able to hear it, like hear the individual punch. But if you make sure that your sound is punchy to begin with, you can kind of lower it a bit more in the mix so it's not taking so much space, but you're making sure that you hear the individual punches more, if that makes sense. Which is why you need to make sure that your drums are punchy. So some libraries, by default, they will kind of sound like a static noise because it's just recorded that way, and then you need to process it a bit. Some libraries, it's the opposite. It's already super punchy and super transient heavy, and you need to limit it because if you don't limit it, you just hear like the tuk 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 of the transients, and it's so annoying also. So you need to find the right balance between of like the right balance of the dynamics, if that makes sense. If it's too flat, create punch. If it's too punchy and too sharp, use a limiter to kind of lower the punch. Yeah, you could do this. Yeah, the parallel compression could be achieved like that, or it could be achieved with one plugin. If that plugin has like a mix knob. So most compressors have a mix knob, but not all actually. But some of them, I mean, lots of them have. So, but I'm still not completely happy with this driving percussion because the treble makes it sound a bit close. And I don't like when things sound too close in trailer music. So I might just put a reverb on it to make sure that the high end is not too close sounding. Let's see. reverb on drums always parallel, because if you don't do it parallel, then you can't EQ it, and you always want to make sure that for drums you need to EQ the reverb most of the time, because yeah, every drum is different and it's gonna react differently to the reverb. Let me find a reverb that's not too shimmery, but helps the high end be less close, less direct. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. Because this is kind of, yeah, this is really like smoothing out the sharpness, which is what I want. I mean, I'm gonna cut the rumble anyway, so let's see how it reacts without the rumble. So I'm just EQing the wet signal right now, right? Yeah, it's nice. It's putting a bit more in the back, you know? Let me see a bit longer. I mean, we have less punch, but sometimes it's better to have a bit less punch, but a sound that blends better in the mix. And what we can do is maybe put the reverb before the compressor, so that the compressor is gonna catch the sound with the reverb and reshape the reverb as well. Yeah, that's the best way. I mean, it's by default, this sound already has a long tail, so it's already kind of a miracle that we can enhance the punch. So even if it's not the punchiest thing in the world, it's fine. But yeah, in that case, I put the reverb before the compressor so that the tail of the reverb is not mushing the sound too much. So it's kind of mushing it before, but it's creating the right tone, right? And after we created the right tone, we redefine it with the transient. Nice. A bit rumbly still. Maybe that's an EQ thing. Let's see. Yeah. Not all drums, but lots of drums I would use something like that. hits as well. It depends. Some drums already sound very far away, and they don't have such a close sounding treble. So in that case, I wouldn't even reverb them at all. It really depends. See, no, that's great because we have a sound that blends. It's not a sound that's too distracting. It's not too close. It just blends. If I remove the reverb, sure, it blends somewhat, but it feels like the drums are like 5 meters away from you. So that's better to kind of preserve the bigness of sound. Okay. Compressor. So if I have several drum layers or hit layers playing the same hit, most of the time I will have the compressor on the group, but if the individual layers need some compressing, I will also do it on the individual, but often on the group because then I'm kind of defining the transients of all the layers at once, basically. Actually, let's do this right now. Actually, yeah, I have a hit here. So let's make a bus for this. Actually, there's already a bus for this. I think, yeah, I called it big. The big bus, it's called. I think it's Strike Force, right? The driving drums. So wait, reverb before compression? No, not always. Depends how punchy the sound is. Okay, so obviously these hits sound too close, so I'm gonna need some reverb on them. And this low layer is, yeah, too close in the treble. Also the sub is too long. So what I'm gonna do here is a gate with a release to just make sure that it's punchy. The tail is there, but it's not an endless sub tail. So what's gonna detect, what's gonna trigger the gate is gonna be just the high frequencies. That way I'm having an accurate trigger. Bit of look ahead, so I don't kind of look ahead is gonna make sure that I don't accidentally chop a transient. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't need more tail than this, honestly. Right? That's good. Without the gate. Yeah, it's just not as tight. I'm gonna put more reverb on them, but not for the sub, but for the mids and the highs. And the other layer. Yeah, it's good. But it's not so good for the sub, so I'm gonna cut the sub from this, and the sub is gonna come from the one I put the gate on. There is a bit of a resonant peak. I don't really like when drums have a resonant peak. It's more like, it's like at 10k or something. And it's more like, there is something here that's a bit harsh, but yeah. It's fine. It's not too bad, honestly. I'm just gonna see how it sounds with the reverb on, because I'm gonna put reverb on both of these. So what I have right now is this. So they still sound a little untight. So I'm gonna do compression on the group. Compression on the group is gonna retighten everything. I'm probably gonna use my favorite plugin again, FG Bomba. Making sure I'm catching the right energy, and then I'm gonna mix it down. Yeah, around like 25% maybe. Nice. Yeah, and I'm gonna have to put a reverb on it, I think. So let's see in the mix. I mean, yeah. I think the reverb is mostly, I could maybe just put it on this one. But I mean, it's probably not gonna hurt this one as well, even though it's already wet. Let's just try on the group first, and if it's not good on the group, let's just put it on the dry one. Gonna use the trusty Valhalla plate again. But probably a different algorithm than what I used before. Ah, that's nice. I would say the first one is good, but it's too shimmery. And let's remove the sub, of course. And there we have it. We have a tight sub, and we have a wetter mids and highs, which are gonna blend well with the mix. So now it's all about balancing it. Let's try before the compression. Yeah, it doesn't hurt. Yeah, let's see in the mix. Pretty good. I think it's still a bit boring. Needs some kind of EQ. Let's see what I can do. Actually, I have an idea. I think they're a bit bland, so let's try the parallel distortion. Let's try a parallel distortion. Before the reverb. It's a bit bland. What I can do is put distortion, which I will take from the mix rack. Let's see. I think it's too quiet. Okay, yeah. Need to put a gain first. Okay, perfect. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. I'm gonna lower the volume a bit. Okay, so the idea here is to get more tone. And then let's mix it in parallel so that it's not too overwhelming. I don't want as much sub because the sub is kind of making it a bit ugly. So if I roll off the sub first, it's gonna have a nicer distortion. Not with this. With this. Yeah, that's nice. So that's just the right color that I want. So now let's just filter it a bit because the high end is a bit annoying. But that's good. And now we can mix it in parallel compression. Parallel distortion. Actually, let me make sure that the volume at the end is balanced. Okay. So that's full. That's clean. So let's find the sweet spot now. That's too much. Okay, yeah, about 25% is good. That's nice. I just want to do a bit more EQ before... because now things are a bit changed. Okay, that's pretty nice. Okay, see you, Tom. Nice. They do really sound good now. Okay, see you, Julian. Yeah, nice. That's gonna cut through. I just have a lot of mud to clear from other elements in the track, so I'm probably gonna go back to that later, but it's a pretty good sound right now. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. It's kind of important that nothing in the sound makes you feel like it's just so upfront. I mean, of course you can have upfront elements. No, it's just like a mixing exercise for my course. Yeah, of course it's important. You can have upfront elements, but like there is upfront and upfront, you know? Like something fully dry that really sounds like 5 meters away from you, it's not gonna go well with an orchestra with a massive reverb. So by controlling like the high end, making sure the high end is not too sharp, making sure you put reverb on the stuff that's too dry, you just create sounds that's gonna blend a lot better than without. But yeah, so now let's see about EQing the big hits. Yeah, these have a bit of a sub problem. You know, actually, like I have 2 big hits. I mean, this one has kind of a nice punch already. So this other one, yeah, the sub is just way too long. But I like the mids and the highs, so what I think I can do what I think I can do is that I can remove the sub, but I'm gonna keep some of it. I'm gonna keep some of it and it's gonna decay more quickly. So what I can do is like a filter automation, basically, to roll off the sub after a while. So like that. See that? So let's see. The default position is gonna be like 46. That's the default position. And then for actually the tempo of the track, I need to set it correctly before I do that. Okay, so now I'm going to automate the filter whenever it decays. Around there. Yeah, like that. I like that. Okay, and that's gonna be my. It's gonna be my preset kind of thing. I will cut it here and copy paste the automation to other places. Yeah, this is a good way to control drums which are uncontrollable. I recommend this. Actually, let me do like this. And I just bring that down again. And now it's ready for the next one. Oh. Wait, no, I can't bring it down again because the tail is too long. I'm stupid. I'm stupid. I'm stupid. I just want to make sure it's going to be a bit before, so let's do two lines before the hit. Alright, I got this. Where is it? It's a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky because it's fine. See, we just keep more punch this way. We just keep more punch. Nice. Okay, so let's route both of these to the bus. So now about the EQing and stuff. So I'm thinking this one is gonna be kind of the mid-range. It's a bit dark though. I don't really like the sound of this. Maybe we're gonna need another sample to kind of have a more, like a better full-bodied hit. I mean, like the sub is good here in what we have, but like the hit itself is pretty dark. And we need a good sample that's able to provide nice high mids during the hit itself, not before. And it's a little, it's really resonant here. Yeah. But like not a crack that's too like resonant and ugly. Something nice. Maybe I can have an idea. Let me see if I can create more texture with distortion. Just like I did the other one. Might work. A bit of decapitator this time maybe. Yeah, actually. Let's see. Ah, yeah. Yeah. I don't even need to do this like this. I can just do it like that. Actually, that's a pretty good sound. So if I just mix it in parallel. Now I got more texture. Nice. And we're just gonna use a different EQ for any kind of further EQing because the first one is just cutting the sub. It's more like a organization thing. So this one is missing some reverb. But this one is mostly just sub, doesn't really need reverb, so I'm just gonna reverb one of them in that case. Just this. I'm gonna reverb this distortion so that it's a bit like smoother of a sound, but at least I'm gonna have the frequency content. I'm gonna have a nicer texture in the high end. Distortion also kind of extends the length of the texture. So the issue with that hit was that you just had like the very short transient, which was kind of harsh and resonant, and it instantly died off. So the distortion is kind of making the mid-range texture of the drum last longer, and that's the main thing, the main advantage in that situation. Gonna try kind of a subtle reverb, maybe more subtle. I think. Let's play it. Okay, see? Let's see what it can do to the high mids. I just want something for the high mids. Large plate, I guess. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. It's really extending the transient. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's perfect. My gosh. Really good. Maybe a bit less. 80% maybe. Yeah, let's see. So this is without effects. It's gonna have a lot more bigness in the mix, and at the same time, the subtail is gonna be controlled thanks to the automation we did here. But with the 2 layers, it's a bit different. So yeah, so it is with the 2 layers, it's like that. So 2 layers without processing, like that. And 2 layers with processing. Yeah, this one becomes a bit loud. I need to balance it, but yeah. And it's a bit muddy. I think around here. Yeah. I think. Yeah, it's mostly in the reverb. Let me EQ the reverb. Okay. It's getting good. Yeah, see? I might still need one more layer in the mix. It's still a bit dark, let's see. Maybe it's just that the sub is too loud, obviously, in these hits for now. So, I think just this. Let's balance it a bit better. And actually, I do have a cymbal with them as well. Yeah. I think I'm gonna need one more layer of something that's a bit more tone. But I love how this hit sounds. It just needs a little bit more tone in there. Otherwise it's too like, I mean, by itself it's good, but in the mix it doesn't pop out too much, basically. I mean, the sub is great. It's a bit much, but it's great. But the hits are just too dark. I don't think it's gonna be good. Because like there's a little ramp up, like the little ramp up before the hits. This one is bright, and then the hit is way dark. That's not good. Like I need something a bit more like the big hits. See? In terms of mids, of high mids, so I'm gonna need one more layer for this, which we do tomorrow, so it's okay. But yeah, I'm just gonna add it, you know, slightly into the mega hits bus, just like under what we currently have to kind of complete the sound, basically. But I really like though everything else about this. The brass, yeah. Definitely gonna need to clean this up. Probably gonna sidechain. It's gonna be really muddy. See, like the mids just don't cut it. What I can do also right now is that I can sidechain one hit with the other one, because this one has a very short sub and this one has a still longer sub. So if I just sidechain the first one and the second one, I might get a bit more of a punch. So let me try this. Okay. So I'm just sidechaining one layer against the other, basically. I need to make sure it's not going to be triggered by the ramp up, but the actual sub. Yeah, so I need the sidechain trigger to not be the treble, but it needs to be the bass in that case, because otherwise it's going to activate the sidechain on the ramp up, and I want it to activate on the hit itself. Yeah. So now you can see it's actually triggering at the right spot. So it's kind of a muddy envelope, but I don't really have a choice. It's fine. Maybe if I put a bit of hold. Nah. No to gain. Yeah, like 4 dB, maybe 3 dB. Okay, so basically that's gonna compress the long sublayer. Yeah, it's nice. So it prioritizes the sub from the first layer and compresses the second layer, and then when the sub of the first layer dies off, because it's kind of short, the second layer will complete the end of the sub, basically. So that way they kind of complete each other even more. Nice. Okay. I don't really think I can get that sub cleaner than it is right now. So now I'm gonna have to sidechain it with the brass mostly because the horde is very, very subby and I don't want this to overload the sub in the whole track. So I'm gonna, actually I'm just gonna sidechain it. Sorry, I'm just gonna sidechain it with the brass bus probably in multiband. But I'm not gonna do this right now because I wanna make sure that the levels are final. Because if I start tweaking the levels, it's gonna mess up the sidechains as well. So I'm just gonna do that at the end. Right now I think we can mix the cymbals. So again, cymbals can easily sound small, but let's put reverb first. Okay. So what I don't like in some of the piatti, the very highest treble is a little bit annoying. It makes the cymbals sound very small for a fraction of a second. And a little bit small and sibilant. So what we can do is put a de-esser on them. I think there's a preset called, yeah, see, high-end transient limiting. And now we just kind of select the band. Yeah, mostly just this, you know? It's just gonna act like a multiband compressor, basically. At least it should. Because it is, a DSR is a multiband compressor. See? Let's see how it compares to the Pro MB. Ratio 20. It's very similar. I'm just gonna use the Pro MB for this. So now let's see in the mix how it's gonna help the cymbals blend in, basically. See? It's just making them blend in better. I mean, yeah, it's a bit sibilant and... And now they're sharp. They're very sharp, but they're not like sibilant. Like, I mean, if you have really sensitive headphones, you will really hear it. So it's just kind of timing them just enough to still keep them really bright, but not overly annoying. So as you can see, the release is very short. That's because it's just targeting the transients, basically. The way cymbals work is that they will just be very intense for a very short period of time. and that's in that short window of time, that's where you will have the 10 to 20k. It's going to be overly bright, and then it's instantly going to fade off, and it's going to be more longer towards the lower frequencies. So I just want to target this short window of time on the initial attack of the symbols, which is why the release is very short. It's pretty good. All right. And these big hits are a bit quiet. Yeah, the mega hits are just way too dark. I'm gonna need another sample for this later, but for now, it's fine. Let's not worry about them because there is nothing else I can do. I just need more of a mid-range sample, I guess. Not a big deal. Alright, let's see if I can still do a few things right there, right now. I must have a few more drums to mix. Hold on, let me check. Did I have another hit sample? Yeah, see, I don't know why this is... Okay, this is all the big mega hits, so these ones are hitting at the same time. Okay. I mean, that's fine, except I need one more mid-range layer. But these three last ones... I don't need more sub. I don't need more sub, so... I think I'm not gonna use this. I mean... Actually, maybe that could be the mid-range layer. Matt, if you're watching, can we have these everywhere? The Mega Hit 3. I think I can make them work as a mid-range. So you just need to add them here and here. And this can actually work. I'm gonna cut all the sub from these. Just gonna be like a mid-range thing. Let's see. Yeah, nice. Let me see what I can do. So there is like a resonance at 4K. Yeah, it's better like this. Let's see if I can get some nice tone with maybe... I don't know why today I'm distorting the hits a lot. I don't always distort hits, but these samples, I don't know, they just feel a bit like... You see? See, it's like... Yeah, I'm getting nice mid-range out of this. Nice. Yeah, that's a very good mid-range. Exactly what I want, actually. Let me route this to the Mega Bus. This EQ is not... Oh yeah, it's because I'm soloing. I was like, what, the sub is so muddy. Because I was soloing the track, so I wasn't having the automation. Okay. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. It's just a bit dark still. Let me see. And there's the frequency. There's frequency I don't like, but I need more highs. Yeah. I think it's because the hit feels too short. It feels too short because the transient is too short. I need a sub that, I need a high end that's longer. What I can try to do is limit it, and limiting could help the transient be less short, and it could help the hits blend more. So let's see with the limiter how it sounds like. Because if it's too short, it's gonna sound small. Always. It's already better. And maybe a compressor with a very short attack. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's it. Just like 3 dB or so. Nice, see, yeah, it's like a lot longer. Exactly what I want. The sub is too much here. Let me take care of this. Yeah, I would say like mixing hits is probably the hardest thing, because you have so many different layers and they need to work together. It can easily become very overwhelming. But I think I'm getting closer, so that's a good thing. So what I think I can do now is do some group processing to kind of redefine the punch of the hit at the same time. Yeah, sometimes it's faster to mix hits. These ones, it's pretty difficult, honestly. I would say it's pretty difficult for these. But now I think I can do this, and I'm gonna get more unity in the punch. except it's not triggering perfectly. Let me try with a Pro C2. Because with the Pro C2, I'm going to have control over the internal sidechain. So I'm going to be able to remove the sub from the sidechain filter, detection filter. So I'm going to have a pretty accurate thing. But it's detecting the ramp up as well, which is not good. Let's see. I'm trying to find like the sound that will be the most accurate in terms of how it will trigger everything. Seems pretty accurate. Yeah, I'm getting pretty accurate image. Yeah, see, so now that my compressor is listening to something that will be kind of accurate, it means it's gonna compress correctly because, yeah, at least more or less correctly. That's pretty clean. That's a pretty clean compression, and I can hear the extra transient that this brings to the sound. Maybe a harder knee. Yeah, something more like. That's why it's really gonna smack everything. It doesn't have to be too much, like even 2 dB, 3 dB is gonna add a bit of a smack to the sound, which is good. Maybe a longer release. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, see, that's more like direct. Boom, that's more like pumping with the compressor on, which is nice. Yeah, it's not perfect yet at all, but I'm gonna have to play around with that. Maybe more reverb, maybe. And the sub is clearly too much. I think it's the sub from this. It's a good sub. It's a good sub, but it's a bit crazy. Yeah, that's a lot more like it. Something's bothering me. Oh, maybe that's because of... Yeah. That's better. Oh my god, these hits are so much work. My god. Yeah, I think they're getting there, but I still need to see a lot of things. I need to go back to them later, because if you just make the same thing for hours, it's gonna be... Let's just maybe get a fresh perspective on the strings and the brass. Yeah, the sub is a bit crazy, but I'm not too unhappy with how things sound. The fast hits a bit, the high mids are a bit slightly too thin. Let's see what I can do. It's gonna sound a bit less thin if I do this. Yeah, that's not very good, but... yeah, I take breaks sometimes. I should take more. I try to take breaks every 2 hours or so, but... So if something sounds too thin, usually it's because you have one frequency area that's dominating the rest. Such as you have a peak there, then in the mix it's gonna sound small. See, for example, one of the most common mistakes people do, they keep their hits sounding like that. And that just sounds very small, right? So having that flatness in the high mids is very important for full sounding hits. It's not just the EQ, it's also the reverb and stuff, but yeah, the EQ is pretty important when it comes to kind of trying not to have too many resonant peaks in the hits if you want a full-bodied hit. I'm thinking this is a bit... Yeah, I don't want it too sharp. If it's too sharp, it's gonna sound too small. You just need to strike the right balance. I think it's pretty close, so yeah, for now let's not. Maybe a bit more reverb. Ah. Yeah, that's helping a little bit. Yeah, nice. When I compose, yeah, I purge. Let me just listen to the percussion by itself, because... Interesting. The stereo image from this is a bit crazy. It's coming from this layer here. Yeah, the stereo image on this is a bit... It's a bit crazy. Let's see. Yeah, that's more like it. Just gonna try one more thing. I just kind of wanna get them sharper, but yeah. Yeah, unfortunately I need the other hits. Actually, maybe I can just cut them here. Maybe I can just cut them. Hold on. It's not exact. Yeah, I guess it's better to. It's better to. Yeah, I don't know why it's not exactly on the grid. Maybe everything is a bit offset. Yeah, it seems like so. Oh, did you send me the new hits already? Cool. Nice, thank you. I'm just gonna replace them right now then. I'm probably gonna end the stream soon because I mean it's kind of boring. I'm gonna have to tweak, do 1 dB here, 1 dB there, just making sure everything is good. So I'm probably gonna just show like any kind of the main techniques I would do to finish up this track, but it's not gonna be finished. You know, the mix, I need to spend more time on it. I need to wait on it, go back later, and everything. I'm just gonna tell you about what I would do to kind of finish it up. I guess something like that. Just replacing the stem right now. Okay. Hold on. Nice. Ah, yeah, that's sounding pretty good. I like this. I like this a lot. Yeah, maybe the ramp up is a bit much. But, okay, let's see if I can just tame that a bit. Yeah. Easily. I can tame it easily. Great. Just something like that. Yeah, I'm still not completely happy with the way the big hits. The way they hit. It's just not ideal. I think it's because, yeah, it was because my EQ. Let's see, that should be better. Yeah. Okay, so let me try some reverb on these really quick to see if it helps a bit the texture. I mean, mixing hits, it's always been the most difficult thing, I think. Because you just have different samples and they need to work together. Sometimes you need one more sample. When it doesn't work, it means you need one more sample, but I think I can make this work. It's just a bit tricky to, a bit long to mix. Yeah, I think the reverb is gonna help. Not so much of it, but a bit of it. I'm not feeling enough punch or something. Hold on. It's more like the way the transient hits. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna try another sample because this is not perfect. But we'll see about this later. Doesn't matter. The point is that's basically how it's gonna be. And then let me see what I have. I don't hear whistle frequency too much. I mean, there is some shimmer, but I don't think it's too annoying. It should be at 5K or something. I think it's kind of part of the sound. It's not like a harmony I can filter, but it's not annoying me too much. I'm more worried about the way the transient hits. Basically, I'm just not happy with that completely. Let me see. Let me try to EQ the general sound, like all the layers at once. I mean, I'm just being perfectionist, I guess, but it's not perfect yet. Yeah, it's just not punchy enough, so that's an issue. And I think I know why. So the issue, I just figured it out. I don't know why I didn't figure it out sooner. The issue here is that we have 2 hits. Yeah, it's obvious, that's the why. We have 2 hits in the sub, like 50 Hz, And then we have one layer which is more like the mids and the high mids, but we have a hole basically. We don't have a hit which has a nice 100 Hz, 120 Hz punch. So what happens is that we have the sub below, and then the hit feels kind of weak, because the main mid-range hit is just hitting like 200 or something like that. So I'm really dumb. Maybe it's just because I just cut too much here, or maybe the sample is not good enough. So let's see. Okay, I think maybe the envelope is not good enough. Or maybe it is. So let's see. Let's reduce the distortion so that it's more... It's better. Okay. That could solve it, but I'm not sure. We just need like the punch here. It's definitely why it's not working perfectly. But if the punch is not good enough, it's not gonna be good also. Yeah, so it's better, but there is a rumble as well, which I'm not a fan of. But it's better though. But yeah, see, that's the problem. It's probably why I cut so much, because there is endless noise here. Okay, see you, man. Yeah, so guys, this sample, see, it's just not like... Okay, I need the one main punchy sample for this to work. Like, this is nice, but the noise here is too much. So what I'm gonna do for now is that I'm gonna scratch this sound. And the other hits are good. I just need like one main thing that's gonna work. So I will scratch this completely, and I will test another sample. It's kind of rare to have so much trouble mixing some hits, but these ones, yeah, the samples just are not cooperating too much. So for now, let's just work with these two here. But see, that's all sub. That's all sub, that's why. Anyway, so let's see what's left here. I have an anvil hit. Oh yeah, so this is kind of interesting. This anvil hit, before I processed it, it was very sharp. See that? But like in the mix, it was just destroying everything. So in that case, I put the filter on it to like just keep the tone from the high mids, but not have that obscene treble. Right, that's what you want. Maybe I can have a little bit more, but not the sharp thing. Yeah. I'm starting to hear it. That's not good. It's just kind of for the high mid color. Yeah, I didn't show you the choir yet. It's Oceania. So pretty heavy EQ on Oceania, because it's very muddy by default, so there is a huge treble boost here, 7 dB. So it definitely... That's the only thing. And then I have the EQ here also, so even more treble boost. But like definitely boosting the treble on the choir helps, because the low mids are already very crowded with all the orchestra, so the choir, you want it to poke mostly through the high mids and treble. Of course the mids as well, but not so much, like not the natural mids. Most choirs have too much low mids because, I mean, if it's like a choir piece and it's just one choir with other stuff and it's like the main element, then you should leave the low mids, or at least lots of them, because it's going to be needed to get a balanced sound. But if you have a full orchestra, you want a choir sound that's going to be more oriented towards the high mids and treble. And it's going to help the texture of the orchestra with this high mids and treble, but it's not going to add supplementary mud, which you don't need around 1K, 500 and something like that. So that's why you want something that's a bit like that for a full orchestra track. If I didn't have this treble boost, you wouldn't hear it at all, like completely disappearing. But yeah, and so before I go, let me just check if I showed you everything. I think I missed one thing. Yeah, I missed the tuba. So layering the horde, I had a tuba track, and this is just to kind of give a bit more tone to the horde, low brass. But as you can see, I cut the sub from it because I already had all the sub I wanted from the horde. So this is just like to add supplementary color, but nothing crazy. As you can see. Lots of mud. But yeah, I'm mostly interested in that frequency area. Yeah, it's nice. Unfortunately, I can't finish the hits right now because the samples are just not working. I wish I could finish the big hits in the stream, but hopefully all the fiddling around was still interesting, and you kind of understood what I'm looking for in the sound. Yeah, I guess the punch just wasn't there. Like, yeah, it just wasn't there. And it's very important to have it. Like basically, I have something about that in the course, but it's like the balance between 50 Hz, like the balance between the 50 Hz punch and the 100 Hz punch is very important. So if you just have the 50 Hz punch, it's going to sound nice and full, but you're gonna lack some of that energy. If you just have the 100 Hz punch, it's going to feel too short mostly because the hit isn't gonna stay around at 100 Hz for too long. Like the way a hit works is that it goes down in frequency. So if you just have 100 Hz and not too much sub bass below that, it's going to feel too short and small. If you just have the 50 Hz, it's going to feel rumbly and not punchy. So you need that all around bass, basically. You need that sub that stays around for a while, the 50 Hz one. And you need the punch at 100, which is going to be more short. And if you have both at the same time, it's going to be good. So you need to make sure that you have a hit which is punchy and like has a nice 100 Hz. And if in addition to that it also has a nice 50 Hz, that's good. If it doesn't, you need one more sample. So for example, these ones are very good for the sub. Not these. Sorry. These. Yeah. Or this one. This one, so. This is good for the 50 Hz, right? These two are good for the 50 Hz. But they're lacking the higher stuff. So for the higher stuff, you want to look for a sample that's not too long, not too muddy. So a sample that's more like as short as this in terms of the bass, but it's more like 100 Hz instead of 50 Hz, if that makes sense. And if I have this third sample, and it's like punchy and it's not muddy and it's like a pretty clear punch, then it's gonna kind of work with the 50 Hz here, and they're gonna complete each other, and I'm gonna have the best hit in the world, basically. Like right now I have the thickness, I have the sub. I mean, it's not bad, right? It's not bad at all, but it's just not 100% there. because I'm lacking some of this 100 Hz punch. As well as some more mid color because it's too dark. So yeah, that's the two things I'm gonna be looking for. So to get a sample like that, maybe some tom ensemble would work. Taiko not so much because Taiko would be too long in the sub bass. So like some kind of tom ensemble or some kind of punchy hit, maybe from Ava, or something like that would work. But not every sample. Not every sample would work. So let me just see if I have everything there. Yeah, I mean, I think I showed you everything. So before I end the stream, just gonna talk a bit about how I would finish it up, but unfortunately I can't finish it up because this hits. But basically what I would do is maybe sidechain them, because considering I have a very heavy sustained bass, to just get a bit more clarity in the bass, I would take the mega hits, the big as well maybe, but at least the mega hits, and I would sidechain them with the brass bus, and on the brass bus I would put a multi-band compressor, Pro MB, and I would basically multi-band sidechain, so anything from the punch frequency and below, so 100 Hz and below, I would duck whenever I have the mega hits. And that way I would make sure that the Horde is being toned down and any kind of thing that could be here on the brass. And I would get more clarity in the bass. So every time the big hit would happen, this would go down maybe 3 dB, 4 dB, something like that. For the strings, I would probably not bother too much because the double basses are less loud. But you could technically also do it on the strings bus. But I probably wouldn't. Like, you don't need to be so uber surgical about this. I mean, the Horde is definitely the worst offender when it comes to interfering with the kicks. So that's where I would duck. That's definitely where I would duck. And I don't have any kind of subby synth bass, so I don't need to worry about that. If I had a massive syncopated synth bass or a sustained synth bass, I would also duck it with the multi-band sidechain, just like I would with the brass, because of the Horde. So yeah, that's basically how I'm gonna finish it. And yeah, guys. I mean, of course, I'm gonna look at the EQs tomorrow, maybe do some style changes here and there, maybe in the strings. Maybe the strings I can do something before I go. They're a little bit too warm and nice. A little bit too nice for this type of track. I need something a little bit more. Yeah. Actually, yeah, that's very nice. Yeah, I mean, just needs a bit more balancing, a bit fine-tuning here and there, but I'm happy with the results. Even the low end I like the low end of the hits, but it's good. Yeah, just need the mid-range. Anyway, that's gonna be it, guys, for this stream. So yeah, I'm gonna finish this track, finish mixing it, double check everything, and then it's gonna go in my course for the full release of the course, so maybe in December, a bit later in December. And you're gonna have all the stems, you're gonna have all the group mixes, the brass, the strings, and yeah, hopefully you can also have fun with these wonderful hits, which are so much fun to mix. Good luck. yeah, you're gonna have a good mid-range layer. Don't worry. But yeah, it was fun experimenting with all of this and yeah, mixing all of this, and it was fun live streaming it. So thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah, so yeah, that was nice. And have a good evening, guys, or good morning if you're in America. Or it's probably not morning, but yeah, see you next time, guys. Cheers.